I don't think we've had a good chinwag on the drive home in quite a while. And I know I recorded, well, frankly, it was a rant. I was in a foul mood, and I'm just gonna delete it. So unfortunately, now I don't know where you are in the process. But I'm just gonna give you a couple things, and I'm gonna make them a little bit shorter than they were originally. I'm setting up a new YouTube channel for the Pizza Locust. Now, many years ago, I had a website and a blog, and I did pizza reviews here locally in Phoenix, and occasionally in other cities around the world if I happen to be traveling there. And I enjoy pizza. I feel that most people who review pizza are utterly unqualified. And at the same time, I also feel that most of them don't have a sort of scientific rigor that's necessary for properly doing pizza reviews, like always getting the same size pizza, always getting the same type of pizza. You know, how can you compare from one place to another if you don't have a target control designed pizza? And I'll just watch the places. Oh, I'm gonna try mellow mushroom pizza, and we had their sauerkraut and tomato with potato chunk pizza, and they said it was amazing, and we loved it. It was great. I love the barbecue sauce. It's like, that's not pizza. That's someone shit on crust, assuming there was a crust. Anyway, stick with one thing, compare it consistently, go from there. But I haven't been doing those for a long time because, frankly, I realized that there was a problem, and that was that after a certain radius away from my house, it got increasingly difficult to find new pizza places to review, and that started limiting the number of hours and the number of reviews that I could do, and so they were beginning to space out further and further. You just don't come home at night and it's 6 o'clock and you go, oh, let's go get pizza. Oh, we've got to drive 25 miles to the other side of town to get to a new pizza place. So kind of petered out. But I've decided to resurrect that as a YouTube channel and do some about 5-minute reviews. And what we're going to do is, in effort to disperse them across town, we're going to use the city's light rail system, and we're going to pick pizza places that are close to light rail stations. So that's the plan. David and I are going to do the reviews. Sometimes if David's not available, my wife's going to do the reviews. I put together a pilot episode, ran it past a few people, got some feedback, made some minor changes here and there, and then started setting up the channel, set up the website again, or got my domain renewed for Pizza Locust, and set up an Instagram account, got the Twitter account reactivated. Not that they weren't live, but got them so that they were functional again. Logged in, checked, and I was sitting there, doing some artwork, getting some graphics footage to come up with the locust motif and whatnot, and then YouTube changed their guidelines on what can be monetized. And I knew I was going to have to fight it to get into the new monetization thresholds that they put in place last April. But apparently, owing to that knuckle-headed idiot and that went out to the suicide forest and a variety of other embarrassing advertisement situations, Google sent out that very day notices to everyone, and it was a big deal. It made it in Variety and all the newswire services that they were no longer going to allow monetization of channels that don't have 1,000 subscribers and 4,000 hours of views in a year. And not even my main channel has those numbers. So in theory, I'm going to lose the monetization on that, although oddly enough, I haven't gotten the notice yet. So fingers crossed that maybe they're calculating it in such a way that I'm going to survive, but it seems unlikely. So that was basically a kick in the gut for my plans. I'm still going to do it. I just haven't quite figured out how. I'm going to do it for fun, but I would like to make money off of it if I could, even if it's just a nominal amount. I recognize that the likelihood of hitting Google's guidelines, 1,000 subscribers and 4,000 hours of views, if you're only making a 5-minute video every week, the numbers just aren't there. And if you're doing pizza reviews specifically pertaining to a city like Phoenix, which may have more than 1 million people, but it's still, how many of them am I going to get? It's unlikely that I'm going to get a lot of subscribers from outside the Phoenix metro area. So hitting even the 1,000 subscriber mark is a challenge at best. And you can buy them, but of course they're fakes. Well, not fakes, but I mean that they're people who aren't watching the channel. So getting that 4,000 hours would be the problem. So I'm stymied. Anyway, that said, on the other hand, when I was mucking around with my Google stuff, trying to figure out if they were going to demonetize me, I found that I was overdue for a Google check for some reason, and I had one video in particular that had a ton of hits and ad revenue, and so I got at about the same time a unusually large Google ad check. Which I'm very pleased with, and I bought a drone. I've been meaning to buy a drone. I really wish we'd had a drone when we were in Mexico. Oh, particularly now that I've flown this one, I was like, oh, what I could have done at the volcanoes. That would have been amazing. This would have been child's play to get out into the volcano and get pictures of us, Michelle and I, standing on the volcano rim or doing panoramic shot from the middle of the volcano. Or the beach, flying out over the water. I really, really am upset about that, but gratified to know that I can fly it when we go to Ecuador. So I'm hoping, and camp this summer and other things. But thank you, Google, for that. If nothing else, maybe I can get enough video stuff out of the drone that I can use it to get more ad revenue to make stuff. Anyway, we took it out. The whole flight restriction thing is, can't fly it here, you can't fly it there. If you look at one map, it says this group. If you look at another map, it says, no, that's not, this is it. It's really hard to tell. My house is either 1.5 blocks inside of a no-fly zone or nowhere near one. Depends on who you look at. And you are allowed to fly on your own property unless it's in a no-fly zone. But we took it out to a park that's definitely an RC radio park, and we flew it the other day, James and I. And this is a proper DJI Spark. It's a very small drone. It's their least expensive, let's call it prosumer drone, and it does all the cool stuff that the proper DJI drones. It's got a gimbal, it's got GPS control, return to home, program flight after a fashion. It's got a number of, and wind, it hovers without the wind bothering it. It's actually easy to fly, whereas those cheap little drones I had before are just a nightmare. You're constantly fighting them to keep them even still inside the house. And in this case, the drone is rock solid. Rock solid. I'm very impressed with it. So I guess that's probably the end of the line for this one. I see I've recorded 11 minutes. There were some fits of coughing where I had to cut the video. I think that's more than long enough. There are probably some changes coming to the Tedium Unlimited channel in the near future. I'm thinking of changing it up a little bit. Not necessarily the content won't be any better. It'll be the same kind of crap. But I may rename it. So don't be shocked if you see a different name come up in your thing. Making some changes to the way we name the episodes so that the search results are different, and see if I can affect, bump the needle a little bit on the views and the subscribers. Not that I want this channel to be a monetized channel with 1,000 viewers, because I really don't, but to see if, sort of a controlled experiment, if I can do little things to nudge the needles here and there, and which things work and which things don't. So that's it for this one, and I will talk to you on another day.